Hi, you guys. I am so excited that you are here. Today is such an important class because we are going to talk all about what causes pain in labor and the number one secret so that you can prevent pain in your own labor. How does that sound? Well, this segment is for all of you parents who have heard people tell you stories about labor being excruciating and scary and out of control and painful from start to finish versus those labors that you have heard about. Hopefully you have heard about them where labor was described as totally manageable, intimate, beautiful, peaceful, positive, manageable. Now, if you haven't heard any stories or haven't seen any pictures or videos of births like this that are totally manageable, you have got to check out the documentary Birth into Being. It will blow your mind about what the potential of birth is when it comes to creating a positive experience. But let's stay focused on you and helping you have a less painful experience, because if you look at these two pictures, you guys, this girl here on the left in the striped shirt, well, she looks like she's in a lot of pain, and so many women feel this during labor. And to be honest, she's still at home. This is early on in her labor. But when you look at this girl on the left with her husband here with her in this beautiful, intimate, peaceful moment, you guys, she is deep into labor. And do you see pain written in her face? In her body language? No, because she's not experiencing pain. And that is the shift we want to take you from this excruciating start to finish to this totally manageable, yes, work, but positive work situation. All right, so what is the difference and how can you end up with one type of labor over the other one? Well, there was a set of researchers that wanted to know the answer to this question. So we have some real, actual data. But I want to ask you, what do you think is the number one predictor of pain during labor? The researchers, they looked at baby size, the mom's birth history in her family, length of labor, height, hip size, all kinds of different things about the baby size and everything you can think about. There were so many things on their list. What do you think it was? Well, if you think it had anything to do with your mindset or your emotions or your feelings about birth, you were 100% right. And if you are surprised by this, so was I when I learned it. The word they came down to was confidence. Confidence is the number one predictor of how much pain you will experience when you go through the process of labor. Interesting, huh? Confidence is something we have a bit of control over. It's definitely not pretending that labor is easy and that there are no risks or challenges, because I believe that this is one of the most incredible experiences a woman can have, but also it's a huge feat to accomplish as well. Confidence is not creating a bubble where you can't look at the facts or hear other people's stories and also hold space for yourself to have a different and better story. It is not accepting the worst version of yourself and saying, well, this is what I'm given, that is all I'm going to do, and that I don't deserve, can't have, yada, yada, for any reason, a positive birth. Yes, you can have a positive birth no matter where you're starting from. And confidence is definitely not nurturing our anxiety and our fear and living in a place of what if the worst happens. No, we have to move past that, you guys, and I will take you there. What is confidence? Well, we need two things to really have confidence. One is that we need to realize we have so much more control than we ever thought was possible, especially in the process of birth. And I will teach you how you can shape and prepare and mold and become the person that is ready for a positive birth. But then at the end of the day, we all start at different places. We're all given different constraints. Some of us have more resistance to a positive birth. Some of us have less time and energy and support around preparing for a positive birth. And that is okay. We also have different dreams about what kind of birth we want and what our perfect birth looks like, which means that after we know what we can do and we take action towards what we can do, that we have to also let go and appreciate what we have and love the experience that comes our way. But I know some of you are thinking like, well, that's all well and good, but I really, 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 what I need to know is about what I'm actually going to feel during labor. And I can tell you this, you already know what a contraction feels like because you experience contractions every single day of your life. Not labor contractions, but you know what? Your uterus is just a muscle. It is the largest and strongest muscle in your body. Isn't that cool? And when you feel a contraction, you are feeling the feeling of these long muscle fibers that go from the cervix up here to the top of your uterus, tightening, squeezing, contracting. And you feel your muscles contract all day, every day. So what is a contraction like? Well, take your arm, can I get it in the camera here? And bend it like a bicep curl. You see this? That's a muscle contraction. And you know that just like this is not necessarily painful, and even if we add, I'm going backwards here. Even if we add time and weight, yes, the intensity can go up. But you guys, a muscle contracting is good, positive, purposeful work, right? It's not the feeling of your hand being shut in a car door. No, you're feeling the feeling of work that you feel in your body every single day. But let's talk about resistance, because if we're not confident in the process and we come into the process with a lot of fear, what happens? You guys, try this with me. Take your arm, bend it, and see how much resistance can you build here. My arm is shaking, right? Like this is painful to me. Is it necessarily more productive work just because it's more painful? No, actually, it's probably even less productive. And that is how so many of us go into the process of labor. And we go through the cycle where we feel fear because we're not truly ready to work with the process of birth. And we tense all our muscles. And we try to resist the process of birth. And that leads to more pain. You guys, fear cascades through the body in a couple very physiological ways. Your uterus is probably the coolest muscle in your body because it is the only muscle that actually has two sets of muscle fibers. These long ones that we talked about that go from your cervix to the top of the uterus and squeeze and contract so that you can move your baby down and out. Now, because we are essentially primal animals and we've evolved over millennia, there were times when it was actually dangerous for women to give birth. And if a woman was in danger, she needed to be able to stop, move, get somewhere safe, and then have her baby. So the body has a stop safe for when you sense danger, which is the uterus has all these tiny little circular muscle fibers around the bottom by the cervix, where if you're in a state of fear, these will activate and they will work to close the cervix. this is where the most intense pain comes from, you guys, when your body is both working to open and close at the same time. This is why we need to get rid of fear and build your confidence. Now, fear also has a chemical process in our bodies, which when fear releases adrenaline, it blocks other hormones that are more useful to the birth process and actually essential to the birth process, such as oxytocin and beta endorphins. So you can see it is really, really important that we get rid of fear, tension, and pain, and we break this cycle. You guys, you can't get rid of all of your fear during birth. It is a natural process that during birth, you will have fear, you will have doubts, you will have uncertainty, and then you will rise above them, right? And if labor changes, you might have fear and uncertainty and a moment of, can I do this again? And you will rise above it again. The point is not that we get rid of fear, but that you continually find safety in the process again, over and over and over. Whether you have an epidural or you're going totally natural, this cycle of fear, tension, pain will affect your labor, which is why we are going to help you replace it with a cycle of confidence, acceptance, and progress. Because when you build your trust in yourself, your trust in your team, and your trust in the process of birth, you can accept the process. And you don't go into it with all this crazy resistance in your body. You can let it happen. And you can let it flow through you like waves of the ocean. And your body will progress. Because your uterus, it's an involuntary muscle. You don't control when it contracts, when it doesn't contract. Just like your heart beats over and over and over again, and you never had to ask for your heart to beat one more time today. And you never had to ask your diaphragm to take one more breath. And yet you still have some influence over the processes that control your heartbeat and your breath and your labor. You can trust your body knows what to do moment by moment to get you through birth. So that's it for this video. In the next video, you are going to learn the ways that you can prepare your mind to command the process of birth and to relax through it so that you can have that calm, peaceful, beautiful experience that you are literally built to have. All right, we'll see you there in just a moment.